Boy and His Sled. Once upon a time, in a small snowy town nestled between tall pine trees, lived a boy named Eli. Eli was 8 years old, with cheeks that turned rosy red the moment the winter wind brushed against them. More than anything else, Eli loved his sled. It wasn't new or shiny. In fact, the sled had a few scratches along its wooden frame, and the red paint had faded to a soft pink. But to Eli, it was perfect. His grandfather had given it to him, saying, "This sled has carried generations of laughter. Now it's yours to keep the joy alive." Every afternoon after school, Eli would bundle up in his thick coat, pull on his wool hat, and race outside with the sled trailing behind him. The hill at the edge of town was his favorite place. It wasn't the tallest hill, but it had just the right slope for speed, and it was just the right curve for fun. One frosty afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted the snow in shades of gold and pink, Eli climbed the hill with his sled. At the top, he paused, listening. The world was quiet, only the crunch of his boots and the whisper of the wind. He placed the sled down, sat on it, and pushed off. Down he flew. The sled glided smoothly, faster and faster, until Eli's laughter echoed across the snowy field. He felt like he was flying, like the sled had wings. But then something unusual happened. As Eli reached the bottom of the hill, the sled didn't stop. Instead, it kept sliding across the snow, farther than it ever had before. Eli held on tight, wide-eyed, as the sled carried him past the field, past the frozen pond, and into the woods. The sled finally slowed near a clearing Eli had never seen. In the middle stood a tall pine tree decorated with shimmering icicles that sparkled like crystal ornaments. Beneath the trees was a small fox. Its fur was red as snow. The fox tilted its head as if waiting for Eli. "Hello," Eli whispered, unsure of Fox's light company. To his surprise, the fox wagged its tail and trotted closer. It nudged the sled gently, then darted toward a narrow path. Eli felt the tug in his heart, like the sled wanted him to follow. So he did. The path wound around through the woods, glowing faintly in the twilight. The fox led the way, and Eli's sled gliding behind as if it knew exactly where to go. Soon they reached a hidden hill, taller than any Eli had ever seen. Its snowy slope shimmered under the moonlight. Fox sat at the bottom, waiting. Eli climbed to the top, breathless with excitement. He placed the sled down, sat carefully, and pushed off. Whoosh! The sled soared down the hill faster than ever before. The wind roared in his ears. The stars twinkled above, and Eli felt like he was racing the night sky itself. The fox ran alongside, its paws barely touching the snow. When Eli reached the bottom, he tumbled off the sled, laughing so hard his sides hurt. The fox barked, a cheerful sound, and then trotted back toward the woods. Eli waved. "Thank you," he called. The sled, as if understanding, turned itself back toward home. Eli followed, pulling it gently. By the time he reached his town, the stars were bright, and the houses glowed with warm lights. That night, Eli tucked the sled beside the porch and whispered, "You're more than just a sled. You're an adventure." From then on, every winter day brought new surprises. Sometimes the sled carried him farther than expected. Sometimes it led him to hidden places in the woods. And sometimes, when the moon was bright, the red fox appeared again, racing alongside him. Eli never told anyone about the magical sled or the fox. It was his secret, his winter wonder. But he knew one thing for sure. His grandfather had been right. The sled carried generations of laughter, and now it carried magic too. And so, every winter, Eli in his sled flew down the snowy hills, chasing joy, chasing wonder, and carrying the kind of memories that last forever.